So we're in early June. The daisies are now out and the red campion too, and there's quite a lot of insect activity in the garden. Yeah, definitely lots of flowers going on, loads of growth. It is now getting very dry. I'm having to use some of the water from the water butt to top up the pond, but you can see we've got lots going on. The bed straws are just about to come out. The yarrow too. There's a white bummed bumblebee. I can't quite work out which type of white bummed bumblebee it is. Yeah, lots going on around our little mini washing up bowl, ponds and bogs. They seem to be really interested in the ranunculus. That's the buttercup family. The water avens is still a little bit of activity going on there. They've kind of gone over, I think, a little bit. And the lady smock or cuckoo flower. So some chives and herbs and bits going on over here. And garlic mustard, knapweed. There's a teasel coming up at the back there. We had a couple last year. I think there's some more down in the pots. What else have we got? Wild carrot, more yarrow there. All the plantains, they've been going great. They're they maybe don't look like the most attractive flowers, but the insects do like those. Got some raspberries actually. There's some raspberries coming through. The watermint's growing quite well in the pond. There's some hedge woundwort here. All the green alkanet. There's some red valerian at the back there. And some scabious here. And the wallflowers. The wallflowers do seem to be particularly drought tolerant, so they're great for the invertebrates, but they're also coping really well with dry conditions. The damson that had blossom on earlier in the year. Privet's just coming into bloom. There's been quite a lot of activity around that. Lots of different invertebrates. We've seen stag beetles on this. I can see plenty of bees, mostly honeybees at the moment. Yeah, it's quite a good day to come out. It's a good sunny day. I can see lots of different flies and all sorts around the apple tree. And that's all been, so we've had lots of sparrows. There's some day-flying moths. I've just seen another one. That might have been a holly blue butterfly actually. But I've seen lots of day-flying moths just moments ago. And you can hear the blue tits with their babies, their young fledglings. Lots going on here. I love the lichen on the apple tree as well. That's this section of the garden, and then it does get, I have to say, wilder as we go down into the woodland garden. I've let everything grow as much as possible while it can. I think we're probably in for another very dry summer. And hoverfly lagoon here, which doesn't seem to have done so well with the hoverflies. They seem to prefer the ponds at the moment, in our garden at least. But there are some other flies that are really liking that. It's properly stinky, the silage. This is really grown quite wild. And there's oak and things in here, but the bees absolutely loving the green alkanet, so we do try to leave a fair amount of that. Want to kind of bring in some sort of diversity. Oh yes, another bee here. Lovely bumblebee. Gosh, they're wonderful. And a hoverfly. So the sort of things like the green alkanet and the brambles and things will tend to dominate in this garden at least. There's some wood avens as well, so that does quite well. And the cleavers, I need to clear quite a lot of that. But when you look up close, you can see there's lots of different species really benefiting from these plants that just grow naturally. The herb Robert has the most wonderful smell. It's probably one of my favourite smells in the garden actually. if you sort of rub it or disturb it with your hands, you get the most fantastic scent. But and then the wild garlic and the bluebells here have gone over now. But we do have some Jacob's ladder. The fox and hounds is just starting to come into bloom as well. And there's some, sort of little wild strawberries, clover. And the stitchwort, that's gone over too. A few little bits and pieces there, and some more knapweed and things. It's lots of plants, lots going on, lots of growth, and I'm just really tempted to let anything that will grow wherever it will grow, just to really ensure that there's lots of food and growth, and just letting things go wild as much as they can to support as much life as possible. And we got just in here, you may be able to see just some, we've got a few of these sort of dead, the logs, so there's lots sort of for decomposing. There's some in here as well, but it's probably well hidden. And you'll find wasps taking the wood, stripping the wood off some of this to make their nests. Lots of other sort of, beetles and other invertebrates, the sort of wood lice and things that just love all that dead wood. So we're really kind of thinking about whole life cycles here, that it's not just the kind of living, growing bit, it's the kind of dying, decaying, decomposing as well. And I think we must have had, I saw a robin's egg at the foot of our tree here, so I think we may have had a robin's nest. I can't see. I'm not entirely sure whether they're still there or not, but leaving them in peace. So it's a little bit deceptive. There was a wonderful, I think it was quite a long-legged beetle or similar insect on this knapweed, and I couldn't identify it quickly enough before they disappeared. And it's really tricky because in so many ways there's so many fewer insects. Last year we had 20 swift was my maximum count at around about the same time. This year I've only seen 2 as a maximum count. There are hardly any, and that points to last year being a bit of a disastrous season, and maybe things as well going on in Africa. But it also, that their food is the insects here, and so it kind of points to the insects being in quite a poor, sort of low numbers, and lots of people talking about silent spring this year. So it's a bit of a mixed blessing. I'm seeing lots of life and lots of insects in the garden here, and there probably could be lots more. So there's this sense that things aren't in great shape. They could be in much better shape, but there's also, just by providing the plants that they like, local plants, native plants, and letting things grow, letting the grass grow, letting the hedges grow, not being too tidy, letting things go to full sort of life cycle, having all the dead stuff, we can really, really help. I can't emphasize this sort of strongly enough. And you don't need a big garden. You can, there are things that you can do. Even a flower pot will help passing bees get to the next sort of oasis of food. They can't fly indefinitely without feeding, and your sort of pot of wildflowers might be just what they need. Your little dish with stones in, some water, might just be enough to help them to survive. So every little bit helps, and remembering that one garden is just a small part of a bigger puzzle. It's is a small part of a bigger puzzle of other people doing the same kinds of things, but also people seeing what you're doing, people hearing about us talking about our gardens encourages other people to do the same. It gives them permission to not be too tidy, which is one of the things which is not helping our wildlife. So yeah, I'm going to take you out to the front pond. So I'll pause now and just head round there. Okay, so this is the insanely wild front garden at the moment. I say insanely wild. I think to be not wild would be insane. Seeing lots of large red damselfly. Some of the azure damselfly in the back garden, but the large red damselfly are definitely breeding here. The pond level's getting a little bit low. Those water lilies are poking up, so I may top up from the water butt shortly. But we got some yellow rattle coming through, which I'm delighted about. Haven't had the most success with that, so yeah, it's good to see that. And the red clover's now in bloom, so that will really help some pollinators. And obviously the ragwort, which the cinnabar moth caterpillar loves. Lots and lots of plantain, so obviously that speaks of how much this area probably has been trodden on. It's a plant that tolerates better than most being trodden, unfortunately. But it does a wonderful job for lots of different insects, so happy with that. And then the hedging, so we've got some hazel and cherry, and the alders, sort of wild cherry. So lots going on there. At some point, we'll probably try and keep that shaped so it doesn't turn into trees. But at the moment I'm just letting things grow and try to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible. And then just leaving these wild edges, not as long as there's a path enough. Actually, these little sort of tiny pockets. There's so many different species here. We've got the herb robert again, the wood arvens, that's a buddleia. There's sort of various sort of sow thistle type plants, the sort of cleavers again. That's an antirrhinum, that's a snapdragon. There's a couple of alders that have taken up at the end there, which might be a little bit problematic for the car and things, so I'm not sure whether we're going to be able to let those grow. And obviously grasses and things like that. So and the mosses, when the rain comes back, the mosses will spring back. So quite exciting times in the garden, and obviously you don't have to let your garden be as wild as ours is. You can sort of add a little bit more structure, make the paths more formal. Maybe you can even kind of mow a strip just to give an edge to all the sort of grassland and meadow and bits. And obviously I've got daisies growing in the cracks in the paving here. We're having to kind of step round. I do sometimes, particularly with the red campion and things, I've had the ones that are going to get trodden on the path. Obviously I tend to take indoors and have in a vase, which is rather lovely. Just lots and lots of life in the garden, and with just a little bit of nudging around the edges, it can still be very much a functioning garden.